If you want to make more money with Amazon KDP and work less, then I highly encourage you to watch this video because I'll go over some common patterns that I see that stops publishers from getting the results. And these are patterns that I picked up after working with publishers in person, but also I see these patterns inside my communities. So the first thing I want to cover is the beliefs. So I see, for example, comments or people saying something like, it was easier to make money with Amazon KDP in the past, or it requires a lot of money to make money with Amazon KDP. So these are two beliefs that are not true. And that's why I try to show with case studies, with the interviews on the channel, so you can see that it's not too late. I didn't achieve the results because I started 9 years ago. There are people making money right now. For example, you can take Ian as an example, you can take Andre. I'm sure there will pop up some interviews now that you can watch later. Now, of course, these are more limiting beliefs, but I also see beliefs where people have too high expectations when it comes to Amazon KDP. So they see these YouTube videos and they expect every book they publish to make $1,000 a month just because you see these examples being shown on YouTube, because that is what gets the clicks. So when I got started, we were happy with $50 a month, $100 a month. So yes, you have publishers that are averaging at least $500 per month per book published, but these are usually elite publishers. So when you're starting out, I think it's important to approach it with the right mindset. When I got started, we celebrated the first dollar. We celebrated the first $100. Because if you can make $1, you can make $100. And if you can make $100, you can make $1,000. And if you can make $1,000, you can make $10,000. Those are the beliefs I would encourage you to have when you're starting. Start small. Start with small wins. If you don't want to compete in the big niches that have big potential, that's okay. So start with a less competitive niche and get your first wins in. Because when you get those wins in, it creates a belief that it is possible. Because sometimes, while you might be able to say it's possible, you might have a limiting belief that says that, well, it's not possible for me for insert whatever reason or excuse. So when you start getting those small wins yourself and you see the results on the dashboards, that is when everything shifts and you start to realize, okay, maybe I can do this in a niche that has more potential, or perhaps I can expand on this and build a brand. I can build something big, especially if you have an area that you're publishing in that you have a passion for. Another thing I see stopping publishers is that they don't have clear goals. So for example, I've asked publishers, what is your goal with publishing? And I might get an answer such as, I want to quit my day job. And that's an okay goal. It's better than nothing, but you want to be specific. You want to specify, okay, how much is that? Is that $3,000 a month? Is it $5,000 a month? And then what do you need to do to achieve that income goal? So what you can do is you can have results goals and you can have input goals. And the input goals are, for example, the number of books you publish, and then you identify, okay, how much must these books make on average per month? Now, not every book will make this amount, but if you publish enough books, you will see that the 80-20 rule will kick into effect, where 20% of your books will provide 80% of the results. So I encourage you to go inside the free Skool community, look at the post by Andre. He's making posts every month. So for example, how did your December go? How did your January go? And there you will see several publishers commenting the amount of books they have, or for example, how much they made in the month, etc. And you can ask follow-up questions and engage in the community that way. So that is also something that can shift your belief. But in regards to setting goals and creating a plan, I highly encourage you to watch the free goal setting workshop that I did. I will put a link in the description of this video. So when you're doing that, you can simply follow along, write down your vision, write down your goals, write down who you want to be, etc., etc. And when you do that, you will be 90% ahead of most publishers, because most publishers don't have clear goals and a plan like this. And just by writing down your goals, you will be 42% more likely to achieve them. Another common issue I see when it comes to publishers not getting the results they want is that they have, let's say, incorrect expectations, or they're moving too slow. So that is a little bit more of the side I explained in the beginning, where they think they will publish their first book and make $1,000 a month. That's highly unlikely. If it happens, congratulations. But I think if you ask most publishers, the first book they published failed. For me, I had luck, or I did very good niche research. So the first 2 books made money. They made several $100s a month. So that was great for me. But after that, I thought I had golden pants on, that everything I touched turned to gold. But of course that wasn't the case, and I failed with the books after that. But that's when I learned my lesson, that I need to pay more attention to ensuring that I create a book that the readers want to buy. Because that is the first principle of book publishing, creating books that people want to buy. So let's go back to publishers being a little bit slow and not having the optimal expectations. Let's put it that way. So if we imagine that this is a book, let's say there's 100 kilometers between this space, maybe I should make it a little bit bigger, or 100 miles, if that's the measurement that you use. So in between here, let's imagine that we have 10 miles or 10 kilometers, then we have another 10 miles or 10 kilometers, etc., etc., all the way until 100. Now this 100, it represents a finished book. And this first 10 is, for example, niche research. Then after that, it might be title creation. After that, it could be creating the content, creating the book cover. Then it could be marketing the book, etc., etc. But in essence, you see this space between. Now, what happens is that many publishers, for several months, they get stuck here and they try to be perfect with selecting the perfect niche, etc., etc. Or they debate about what is the best software, etc., etc. And this is a little bit frustrating for me, because I have laid out the softwares I use, especially in the paid programs, etc. But even in the free Skool community, I show in the free course there what I use, etc., etc. So instead of using that, which is proven to work, not just by me, but also my mentee Ian, people are trying to come up with their own ideas. And that's a great thing. But in the beginning, I think it's wiser to simply focus your effort on following something that is proven to work. Because even the technology, let's say it's a software. When I got started, we did everything manually. So the softwares, that's just icing on the cake. It's not necessary. So I think that's something that is stopping publishers, is that they're not realizing that, okay, I need to move on from step 1 to step 2, step 3, etc. I can't be stuck here, because let's say you found a great niche, but you're still debating and you might want to do more research, etc. While you're doing that, there will come another publisher who is doing this, who's going here, and they will jump here, and then they will jump here, and they will jump here, etc. And they will have finished. By the time you have decided on the software you're going to use, they've already finished that race, and they are even maybe on race 2 or 3 or 4, etc. So that's how you want to think. You want to think that time is of the essence. We're not getting paid to debate whether we should use this software or this website for getting covers done. If you're hiring people, yes, 99 Design is great. Upwork can probably work. It hasn't worked for me, but we have to realize that there are people on these platforms. Let's say Fiverr. They're people. So you might have a great person, a great designer on Upwork. You might have a great designer on 99 Design. You might have a great designer on Fiverr. So instead of focusing on the platform, simply focus on finding that great designer. And then once you find that great designer, move on. Keep going throughout the steps. And in these videos and in all the courses, etc., I aim to light up, because I've walked this path 1,000 times. So from start to finish 1,000 times. So I see the missteps. I see where there are alligators. Let's say you're trying to cross the sea. There might be alligators, so take another route. Or let's say some part, it feels like you're walking uphill. For you, it might be niche research, or it might be content creation or something else. But know that even though it feels like walking uphill, as long as you keep walking those 10 miles every day, so you give yourself, let's say 1 to 2 weeks to finish step 1. Even though it's not perfect, you continue to step 2. And then you give yourself maximum 1 week and you continue to step 3, etc., etc. Because as you keep walking, you will hit a point where it feels like downhill. Let's say it's selecting a cover. Maybe that's very easy for you. Or maybe it's writing a description. Whatever it is, as long as you keep going and as long as you're disciplined with this 10-mile march, you will reach the finish point. And understand that you don't need to be perfect as you reach this finish point the first time. It's okay to fail. I already covered that. Most publishers failed with their first book. I failed with many books.
Shameless plug break, Driven Publishers Elite is finally open for enrollment again, but it will only stay open for a few more days or until spots fill up. We already have people joining, so I encourage you to check it out, as it's everything I wish I had in my journey in terms of self-publishing education, community, and more. Link in the description.
But in essence, what you want to make sure you do is you walk that 10-mile march discipline. And I have a video on that. Perhaps we can show it on the screen here as well. So that is my main message. Focus on implementing quickly. It doesn't have to be perfect. Now, of course, you don't want to be reckless. You don't want to select a niche that is trademarked or do anything like that. So educate yourself. You, of course, want to do that. You want to watch these free videos. You want to go through courses. Ideally, you want to get inside a paid community, a paid course where you're getting more advanced information and more information that you can apply right away, so you can save yourself time and also increase the potential that you can make from your books. But in essence, that's the main message, to see publishing a little bit like a race and not get stuck on these different areas. And it's easy not to do, and it's easy to do. So that is one thing. It's easy for me to click the record and create this video, but it's also easy not to do. I could be doing other work, or I could be relaxing, or whatever it is. So whenever you get stuck, let's say, okay, well, I don't really feel like doing niche research, or I don't really feel like watching educational content or going through a course, or I don't feel like creating a title right now. Instead of doing that, aim to think, okay, maybe it doesn't matter what I feel. Maybe you need to do what you need to do regardless of what you feel. And perhaps you need to simply create a plan. Like I told you in the free workshop, you will get a plan and follow that plan. And every time when you wake up in the morning, instead of checking yourselves, instead of checking the emails that you might have received, or instead of doing something that is procrastinating on the main frog, which is the task we don't want to do, instead of doing that, simply write there. And then when you wake up, do that task, and then you can move on to other tasks later on in the day, which is less taxing on your brain. Because you have to realize also that you have a certain amount of energy throughout the day. You have a certain amount of energy points throughout the day. Let's say you start with 100, but as the day goes, those points go down. So if you start your day with unimportant tasks, when you get around to do the most important task, it will not be done to the same standard, and perhaps it will not be done at all. So always make sure to work on the first important task in the day. So give yourself a constraint. Let's say, okay, I have a 1 week. I have, let's say, in total 5 hours. After those 5 hours, I need to have selected a niche, and I need to go through the process, because it's important to learn along the way. And sometimes you have to learn through your own experience. So that is what I have for you in this video. It was a little bit all over the place. It was a little bit free flowing, but hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you like this video, watch this video next, because it will also be helpful.